Not long ago, it was common to compare Western and Indian marriages. Not Indian love marriages, but Indian arranged marriages. The argument went that divorce rates and self reported rates of happiness seemed to be higher among Indians who had arranged marriages than Indians or Westerners who had love marriages. The way a classic Indian or Muslim or Jewish arranged marriage works is that the families identify suitable matches, and then the couple meets a few times to ensure they aren't repulsed by each other, and then they get engaged. The bar is really low in terms of their personal spark, which is why no Westerner, with the exception of some religious folk, would submit to an arranged marriage. Obviously, being arranged, it can't be a true expression of that highest of emotions and aspirations, love. So self-reported happiness and marital longevity aside, it just can't be worth it. Personally, I think the Indian model is impractical for reasons other than a lack of love. An arranged marriage is defined by the priorities of the families involved. The families are getting married, often more than the individuals are. That just doesn't work in a society in which finding your own way is valued far more highly than adhering to the path of those around you. But really, we all know it comes down to love. The West enshrines love. Come to think of it, maybe that's the problem. Defining love is a bit challenging after all. We've got the old somebody who understands and cherishes you just the way you are, or the somebody who makes you truly happy, or the someone you always want around, or somebody who makes you go all aflutter. And of course, you always have the misdiagnosed lust. You get the gist. It's really hard to put your finger on love. The real problem is that when you pick one of these definitions, they end up, well, pretty wiggly. I mean, they feel like forever at the time, but once you get a few years in or a few hours, things kind of just wear off. I cherished him or her just the way he or she was until he or she bought a Corvette or $600 heels. That turns into separate bank accounts, which are apparently a must nowadays in order to protect love because, you can commit to spending your lives together, but you can't commit to sharing your money. I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere, right? Or he doesn't do the dishes, or she never finishes anything. It was cute while you were dating, but it just gets grating, right? You're different people after all. Even if you're perfectly matched, you change. You may have once fit together like a hand in a glove, but maybe the hand put on a little weight, and maybe the glove got put in the dryer. Perfection rarely lasts. So all these definitions of love rarely last, which leads to bleak disappointment and a commitment to nothing, and a decision, if you have kids, that they'd be better off seeing you miserable and alone than miserable and together. Soon enough, people abandon marriage as a broken institution. After all, it is the ultimate sign of love, and pretty words aside, love never lasts. So people end up replacing marriage with either meaningless sex or non-committed relationships, which become less and less interesting in their own time. I mean, getting off is nice, but it doesn't scratch the deeper itch you really need to scratch. And again, marriage isn't scratching it either. Cue mass mental illness, vast amounts of loneliness. I saw a survey saying 62% of Americans felt alone before Corona, and a really, really sad state of affairs. And I'm just talking about what I've seen in the movies. The awful thing is, I don't think any of this is inevitable. I really can't speak to your relationships, of course. I recognize everyone's different, but I can talk about my own relationship, and maybe there will be something useful in there. So here goes. If you want to hear more, post it in the comments, and I'll record the next section.